There is a new secret plan tonight being offered as a peaceful solution to the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. Now, according to an article in the newspaper Israel Hayom, a Palestinian state called New Palestine would be established on lands in the now occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip. Now, here's essentially how else this thing's going to work. So, Palestinian residents living in Jerusalem would be citizens of the Palestinian state. It's going to be called New Palestine. They would pay taxes to the Israeli municipality and in return be in charge of education for Palestinians in that city. The deal would maintain the status quo of holy sites in the city, and Jewish Israelis won't be allowed to buy Palestinian houses and vice versa in that particular area of Egypt. Meanwhile, Israeli settlements in the West Bank, which are deemed illegal under international law, would formally be recognized as part of Israel. And according to the document, Egypt will offer lands near the Gaza Strip for New Palestine, where they're going to be building an airport, factories, and serve the commercial and agricultural sectors, without, again, allowing Palestinians to reside on these lands. This part of the agreement will supposedly be implemented within 5 years following its signature. Now, here's an interesting part of this plan. A highway will be built. It's going to be about 10 stories high, connecting the now isolated Gaza Strip with the West Bank. China supposedly is going to pay 50% of the highway's cost. South Korea, Australia, Canada, and the United States and the EU would each pay about 10%. For more on this New Palestine project, I'm joined by Miko Peled. Miko is an Israeli-American activist who wrote the General Sun, Journey of an Israeli in Palestine and Injustice. Okay. New Palestine. Sounds like a great idea. What do you think?
Yes, I'm sure, you know, the Palestinians who have been using the name Palestine to describe their country for the last 4,000 years are going to be thrilled that there's now a new name and there's no country, because they don't get any of it. All of it goes to Israel. So I'm sure they're going to be thrilled about this.
The idea that Jared Kushner, who's really not an independent arbiter in all of this, has seemingly come up with this plan and is pitching it to all parties does make one suspect whether this is genuine or not. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, no. This was concocted by him, Netanyahu, probably Ambassador Friedman, who's the ambassador in Tel Aviv. And it's presenting the Palestinians with the reality that they get absolutely nothing and they need to shut up. There are no refugees. We know that already from the fact that they stopped funding UNRWA. Mm-hmm. There's no Jerusalem, because that's been recognized as a part of Israel. The West Bank, or as they call it, Judea and Samaria, will be recognized as part of Israel very soon, I'm sure. And so Palestinians get nothing, and they need to just sit down and behave like good little boys and girls.
And be happy that we're even talking to them?
It's absurd, yes. It's absurd. No Palestinian is going to accept it, and this is a plan that's going to fall on its face as soon as it's presented.
But nobody more than you, I would imagine, given your background, given who your father was, given what you've done in your life as an Israeli, would want a peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis more, I imagine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, we have to remember that what I want, or what Palestinians want, or what people who want to live in the world as normal human beings want, and what the state of Israel and the Israeli government want are two completely different things. The state of Israel and the Israeli governments, for the last, since Israel was established, want the entire country. They base their right to that country on a biblical narrative, which is, of course, mostly mythical and not historic. And they've got the power, and they've got the weapons, and they've got the money, so they're succeeding. And that's.
But even if it was historic, should the American Indians, should the Sioux and the Arapaho and the other Indians, the Hopis, come forward in the United States now and say, look, we want our land back? And would that be a legitimate argument? And is that not the same argument that the Israelis often make?
Actually, I think the Native American argument is similar to the Palestinian argument in that they do have a legitimate right. The sad thing is that the genocide of the Native Americans is practically succeeded, and there are very few left, and they have no chance of ever reclaiming what they had. Palestinians, the genocide is ongoing. They are being killed, but there are enough of them, and they're strong enough to where they can actually get what they deserve. They are the historical, they are the people of the land, not people like me whose grandparents came from Ukraine.
You're an Israeli. Your father was part of the IDF, so you're as Israeli as they come, right?
Yeah.
True blue, I suppose you could say. But yet you have differences with the Israeli government, especially their foreign policy. So do a lot of Americans, and yet it seems at this particular time in America, probably worse than it's ever been, if you disagree with Israelis' foreign policy, you're then branded as being anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Can you love Jewish people and disagree with Israelis' foreign policy? And if not, why not?
Yeah. Well, I have in my family, besides my father, who's a general, a president of the State of Israel and a signer of the Declaration of Independence. So it is as Israeli as you can get. And supporting Jewish people and liking Jewish people and being Jewish has absolutely nothing to do with supporting and accepting the State of Israel. There are enormous Jewish communities out there that have never accepted or recognized the State of Israel as representing them. But that's the only tool they've got. That's the only comeback they have. If you are against us, then you're anti-Semitic. And now they've redefined. There's a new definition of anti-Semitism that's out there, which includes criticism of the State of Israel.
Miko Peled, this is a fascinating and very important discussion that we're having, and we're just now touching on it. We're going to get you back. Thanks so much for being with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.